Hello, everybody. We're on here today. We'll be on Talking Sports with Big C in a second or two on Facebook. We're about to create live video here, starting to create that. We're about to be joined in progress with, there we go. We are live and live in color, everybody. Thank you for joining us on Talking Sports with Big C. We're live and live in color. Let me do this. To be on the show today, all you got to do is call 334-799-4922, 334-799-4922. Let me expand the video here so we can be able to see ourselves better. All right, yeah, we're like, yeah, there we go. But anyway, to be on the show, all you got to do is call 334-799-4922. Also, we have a YouTube channel called Alabama's Biggest. No, a YouTube channel. Uh, yeah, Alabama's Biggest Fan. But also, you can. We're on live on Facebook, and all you got to do is go to YouTube, look up JockJive Radio Sports, and hit that. Click subscribe to it. It's free, and you'll be able to watch us there. Also, we have a Facebook page, Alabama Football, with legendary Big C, Colin MacGuire, with local sports. And what we're going to talk about today first, we're not going to do local. We did that yesterday. We'll probably go back to that tomorrow. But yesterday, this past weekend, which was Saturday, January the 27th, 2024, I was thinking, I think something happened on this date in 51 years ago in 1973, and it did. I looked it up to make sure to double check, and in the 1972-73 UCLA basketball team, it was they're the national champions of 1973, was in the midst of a 60-game winning streak. And what happened was on that day, on Saturday, they played it on national television, played Notre Dame and broke the record. I can't remember how many points Bill Walton had that day, but anyway, they won 82-63 and set the record of 61 consecutive wins. And I got this started on with football, learning, keeping up with dates and stuff like. This year in football, we'll do 1968, 1935, 1968, 57, 46. Good morning to you, John. How you doing? It's about 31 according to this. It is sunny outside, but it's cold. High 63 in the big city of Mars. I like that. But anyway, where are we going with this? Oh, but I thought myself, I said, I believe this is when the record was set, and thankfully I remembered right. I was in the ninth grade when this happened, uh, and what it was, the record was held by San Francisco University, the Dons, that's their nickname, and had a guy named Bill Russell that helped them go to 60 wins in a row. And then they broke that, and then they won 27 more games in a row. And I don't know, that was in this month when they broke the record. It was, I think we already passed that date. I think it was January the. No, don't hold me to that one. Yeah, I think it was about the 19th or something like that. Yeah, a week earlier. But anyway, they had beaten UC Santa Barbara on. What happened was 2 years earlier against Notre Dame, it was on January. What was that date? January 23rd. Last team to beat UCLA was Notre Dame. And on January 23rd, 1971, and they won 89-82. They had a guy by the name of Austin Carr. I remember watching that game, and they could not stop him. He scored 46 points. And A lot of it, he was driving into the basket. There was some kind. Oh yeah, I hadn't watched it yet. Now 11 with 1 minute to go, and they won the game. I need to watch that because normally when you're up by 11 with a minute to go, you're gonna win. I mean, you're not gonna blow a game. I'd like to see how that turned out. I'm gonna watch it. I'll watch that this morning. To see that happen tonight when UCLA's 88 game winning streak got broken. UCLA was up by 11 with 3 minutes left, and they blew it. But anyway, the starters on that team were Tommy Curtis and Greg Lee at the guards. Larry Farmer and Keith Wilkes were the forwards. And then the center was Bill Walton, and we know all about him. Now, the thing that was pretty interesting, his own personal winning streak. Yeah, I'm going to have to check that out. His own personal winning streak, his senior year in high school, they won 33, went 33-0. As a true freshman, they played only freshman basketball, didn't play on the varsity, won 20, so that's 53. Sophomore year won 80, won another 30, so that's 113. And then I think they won the state the year before. We're just counting it from his senior year on up. He had a personal winning streak of 126 games. The last time that Bill Walton lost a game was his junior year in high school until his senior year in college. That is unbelievable that have a personal winning streak that long. And anyway, what they did do that year, they ended up beating Memphis State. They call them Memphis now, but to me, it's always going to be Memphis State Tigers. Beat them 87-66. Walton scored 44 points, hit 21 out of 22 shots. The only shot that did not count was called offensive goaltending. He had a dunk at the time. The dunk shot was allowed until after the 67 season. Louis Alcindor, now known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, that's what he did his sophomore year, was just dunk the ball and nobody could stop him. The next 2 years he couldn't do that, but that's when he perfected the hook shot, and it was unbelievable. Really good. But anyway, the score at halftime was 39-39, and then UCLA outscored them by 21 points in the second half by the score of, scored 48 points to their, I'm trying to think how this is, 48-27, which was 21 points. Now, Memphis had a guy named Larry Keenan who played at Ullman High School in Birmingham, trying to guard Bill Walton, but it didn't work out too well. But anyway, yeah, there's the score, 48-27, got it circled down. But anyway, he went to a junior college, and then that was his only year at Memphis as a junior. And then he went to the ABA after that. Had a hardship deal where they would let you go. Anyway, he went on from there. I don't know where he is now, but he was from Birmingham, Alabama. I remember when they were introducing the lineup that night on TV, and I think that was the first time they played. Yeah, the national championship game was played on at night every time. Before then, there was always a Saturday afternoon game, but I don't know what happened, but TV changed it over. At the time, they were NBC was covering the national championship game, and they covered that for a pretty good while. But from that point on, the championship game was on a Monday night. That was the first Monday night. Yeah, the year before they beat Florida State by 5 and played them on a Saturday afternoon. So, but anyway, that was, if not, to me, I mean, I don't remember watching some of those other teams they had at UCLA, but to me, that was the best team ever, college team, other than maybe the one 6 years earlier with Jabbar going 30-0. But those two teams, to me, uh, would be the best ever. Now, that team that beat Houston the year before was pretty good. But anyway, well, all right. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go to the men's basketball rankings. And as of right now, UConn men are ranked number 1. They got 48 first place votes. Number 2 is Purdue at 19-2. I think UConn's in the Big East, but Purdue is number 14. They're in the Big Ten, 19-2. They got a center that's 7'4" or something like that. And Alabama played them well, but at the end of the game, he took over and they lost. All right. Number 3 is North Carolina, They're in the ACC and they're 17-3. Then number 4 is Houston with 1 first place. And they were playing Texas last night and it went into overtime. I don't know how that game turned out. But Houston is 18-2. And hey, Brian, who won that Houston Texas game last night? I know it went into overtime. Good morning to you, Brian. Thank you for being on here. Thank you, John, for being on here. But Houston pulled it out. Okay. What was the final? Do you know? Because it was 65-65, and Houston tried a shot at the end of the game and missed it. But anyway, they got 1 first place vote. Kelvin Sampson is the head coach there, and he coached at Oklahoma and Indiana. But anyway, number 5 from the SEC is Tennessee at 15-4. Alabama's played them. Didn't look too good against them that day. Played them in Knoxville, though. Wisconsin is number 6. They're in the Big Ten. They're 16-4. Number 7 is Duke out of the ACC, and they're 15-4. Number 8 is Kansas out of the Big 12. They're 16-4. Number 9 is Marquette. Now, I don't know what conference they're in. They're always in one of these crazy ones that you're not familiar with. I don't know if they'd be considered a mid-major now or not, but they were not when Al MacGuire was the coach there. And what was neat, they would always play South Carolina, who had Frank MacGuire as the head coach, and they were not related. Just good friends, and I think, good morning, Greg. We got, according to this, 31, and it's sunny, though. I don't know if that's the right temperature or not, but that's what the computer says. Thank you, Greg, for being on here. That's what we got as of right now. But anyway, and I think Al MacGuire worked for Frank MacGuire at one time. I'm going to have to dig that up. That might not be a bad idea. A topic, just coaching legends. All right, number 8 is, number 10 is Kentucky. And they dropped, they won. They dropped 5 spots. They're 15-4. It was against Arkansas, who's not that good. They're 10-10 on the season. I don't know what's going on with the Hogs. They got Musselman as the coach. He's a very good coach. Okay, APB for all stragglers. You know who you are, minus Greg Anderson of Dothan. Oh, are they? All right, that's men's basketball, right, Brian? Uh, okay, number 11 is Arizona at 15-5 in the Pac-12. Number 12 is Iowa State. They're 16-4. They're out of the Big 12. Uh, Arizona's in the Pac-12. Creighton is number 13, and they're in the Missouri Valley Conference. Number 14 is Illinois out of the Big 10. They're 15-5. Excuse me. Texas Tech is 16-3. They're out of the Big 12. Auburn is number 16 at 16-4 out of the SEC. They've lost 2 in a row. I don't know who they're playing next. Brian, if you know, please tell us. You got Utah State at 18-2. I think they're in the Mountain West Conference. They're at 18-2. Number 18 is Baylor, 14-5 out of the Big 12. New Mexico, they might be in the Mountain West Conference. I'm not sure on that. They're 18-3. Florida Atlantic is 17-4. Dayton is 16-3. I'm not sure what conference they're in, but they're always good in basketball. That's where I think Anthony Grant is coaching there. That's where he played. Good morning to you, Jimmy McCurley. Thank you for watching, big man. I hope everything is well with you. All right, number 22 is BYU, and they're in the Big 12. Oklahoma, and they're 15-5. Oklahoma is 15-5, and they're in the Big 12 at number 23. 24 is Alabama from the SEC. And number 25 is TCU out of the Big 12. Oh, yeah, of course. But they had to go into overtime to pull that one out. But let's see. You got 1, 2, 3. 3 teams out of the Big 12. Now, out of the Big 10, excuse me. The Big 12 was the one that's it's almost like a basketball conference now. You got Houston, Kansas, Iowa State, Texas Tech, Baylor, BYU, Oklahoma, and TCU. You got 8 teams out of the Big 12 in the top 25. That's pretty amazing there from one conference. Now, the SEC has 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the SEC. And Alabama is 1-1 against the ranked teams. They beat Auburn and lost to Tennessee. Played Tennessee up in Knoxville, beat Auburn at home. So that's what's going on there. Now the Big Ten's got Purdue, Wisconsin, Illinois. They only got 3. That's sort of surprising. Now the team. All right, there's another one on here. The ACC got 1, 2. Actually, only got 2 out of the ACC, and it used to be the other way around. Now, Maryland, I don't think it's in the top 25. They used to be in the ACC. But anyway, so what we're going to do in a few minutes, we're going to go over here to the women's rankings, and talk about that. There was an upset last night. Number 9 LSU, or was they number 10? Number 9 LSU got knocked off in Stark Vegas, Mississippi State by the score of 77-73. I don't know. I'm wondering with for some reason, they're not handling this. Now, South Carolina is good. Now, I don't know what the deal was. South Carolina came from behind to beat them, but losing to Auburn and Mississippi State, in my opinion, with the talent level and all that, and plus the good coaching they got, they ought to have just one. They're at least, let's look at it from a talent standpoint. They're better than them. They're not playing up to their potential. Let's put it that way. I think the coach she would agree with me on that, but I wouldn't say that to her face. But anyway, South Carolina is number one. It's at 19-0. This is the women's rankings. And they got all 35 first place votes. Number 2 is Kansas State. Number 3 is Iowa. Number 4 is Stanford. Number 5 is North Carolina State. 18-2, 19-2, 19-2. Kansas State's got a real good record of 20-1. Roll Tide Tuesday. Good morning to you, Craig Morris. How you doing it? I like this. To protect the guilty names will be withheld, but still missing is the dog business handler and dog whisperer. Sounded like Dragnet. You remember on Dragnet, what would happen is, at the end of the show, names have been changed to protect the innocent. Could be stuck on the sidewalk. You never know. But where were we? LSU's number 9. Number 10 is Indiana. Number 11 is Connecticut. 17-4. Indiana 17-2. Now LSU, they were 18-3. Well, they're 18-3 now. Got the record right. Just they'll probably go down again after losing to Mississippi State. Indiana was 17-2. Now UConn, 17-4. Jim, I can't pronounce his last name, but that coach has won at least 10 or 11 national championships there at Storrs, Connecticut. I don't know. They lately have been sort of tapering off a little. I don't know what the deal is. Number 12 is Texas at 19-3. Number 13 is Baylor at 16-3. 14 is Notre Dame. Now, their football team is independent, but all the rest of the teams are in the ACC. USC women, they're 14-4. Number 16 is Louisville, 18-3. Number 17 is Virginia Tech at 16-4. Number 18 is Oregon State at 17-3. Gonzaga is number 19 at 20-2. I'll tell y'all something funny about a friend of me told me about Gonzaga, which was pretty hilarious. Gonzaga is 20-2. Utah's 15-6. Syracuse is 21, number 21 at 17-3. Creighton is 16-3. There's one team that's in both the men and women's top 25. North Carolina is too at number 24 at 15-6. And Princeton is at number 25 at 15-3. All right, I want to tell y'all a real funny story about Gonzaga. Now, this was men's basketball. And a friend of mine told me that somebody he knew was betting on Gonzaga and did not know where they were located. They're located in Washington State, way up in the northwest. I think they're in the same town as Washington State in Spokane. I need to double check on that. But anyway, South Carolina is in the SEC. Kansas State's in the Big 12. Iowa's in the Big 10. Wow. Just come in, www.carry.com. Houston 76. Texas 72 following overtime. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Wow. All right. Where were we? Okay. I was in the Big Ten. They got that young lady that plays for him. She's really good. Can't remember. Caden somebody. Now North Carolina State is in the is in the ACC. Colorado's in the Big 12. I think they've gone back to the Big 12 or going to the Big 12. UCLA is right now in the Pac-12. Ohio State's in the Big 10. LSU is in the SEC. UConn's probably in the Big East. Texas is in the Big 12. I like that. I want to say I can't pronounce that, big man. That's funny though. Yeah, good old German name there. Did they ever say that word on Hogan's Heroes by any chance, big man? Where are we? Okay. There's only 2 teams from the SEC are in the top 25. Big 12 men were pretty good, represented it. Okay, I'm looking at for the Big 12. I got 4 so far on my hand. 5. West Virginia is in the top 25 at 23 at 17-6. Now let's see the ACC. You got North Carolina State. You got that one. North Carolina State. Louisville. Syracuse. And North Carolina. Okay, you got 4 teams. Oh, Gesundheit. Oh, golly. I'm not wide awake yet. I need to do something to perk me up. Bless you. Gunzoon. Oh, you want to say Gesundheit instead of Gonzaga. I like that, Greg. Pretty good. Yeah, the Big 12 is for some reason they look like they've turned into a basketball conference. Now the Pac-12 has got UCLA, Stanford. That's 2. Let's see that USC is 3. Oregon State's 4. Utah's 5. Wow. Now, the one that's pretty wild is Princeton at number 25. They're 15-3. They're from the Ivy League. I don't know. A lot of times you don't have many teams from the Ivy League in the top 25 in basketball. Now, speaking about Princeton in 1965, Bill Bradley, if you remember him, he was a great basketball player who ended up being a senator from New Jersey, played for Princeton, and he almost carried them by himself to the national championship. I think he's got a semifinal record of 58 points. I got to dig that up, make sure. But there's all kind of stats and stuff when March Madness rolls around. Yeah, we were talking earlier about UCLA's win, breaking the record. Now, they only played 30 games, 26. See a Hogan 4-lane. Hogan, just like Colonel Clint. That was a great show. The thing that I thought was so funny or cool about it, even though, that wouldn't actually happen, but in the TV show, they always had those tunnels that people could get out of, and then they'd get them in the trunk of a car and get them out of there, sneak them out of the prison and all that. I had to say Hogan, just like Colonel Clink. Yeah, that was pretty dismissed. Always, and he salutes. And the way how he says dismissed at the end of the show. I wonder if that's supposed to have been a little clue or something that the show was over with also, other than getting them out of there. Next time I'm going to have to watch that show and sort of follow that. All right. What we're going to do, all right, the other night or other day, a friend of mine, Ray Maxwell, played at Alabama from 71 to 75, found this thing, and how many teams in the SEC, I see nothing, hear nothing, say nothing. I like that. Sergeant Schultz is pretty cool. He was a wild man. And what it was, it's had how many teams in the SEC had 10-game winning seasons, and it was a lot for Alabama and, here and there for several other teams. So what I decided to do, with this being sort of a slow sports time right at the moment, it'll be cranking up come March for sure. And but anyway, tomorrow we'll probably talk about the men's and women's standings now. But anyway, what I decided to do is SEC teams to finish undefeated. That means winning every game on the schedule, going 11-0, 10-0, 9-0, whatever. No ties included on this. It's undefeated. You're unbeaten when you go 9-0-1 or 10-0-1 or 12-0-1 or whatever. But anyway, the SEC was started in 1933. Alabama went 7-1-1, so they didn't go undefeated that year. But the next year they did, in 1934, going 9-0 in the regular season, played in the Rose Bowl and beat Stanford 29-13 with Don Hudson, Dixie Howell, Bill Lee, and Coach Bryant, among others. But anyway, went 10-0 that year. 4 years later, the Tennessee Vols went 11-0, 10-0 in the regular season. Played Oklahoma, who was undefeated in the, got one tomorrow. Randy Scott, Johnny Skinner on Thursday, and Friday we have Jeremiah Castile. So, yeah, we got 3 guests in a row. Anyway, all right. 7 years later, Alabama went undefeated, went 9-0, and then played Southern Cal in the Rose Bowl, winning 34-14, go 10-0. The next year, Georgia went 11-0, beat North Carolina by the score of 20-10. Then 6 years later, Georgia Tech went 12-0. And that's right, they were in the SEC at one point. That was a bad move on their part to leave. But anyway, 12-0 and won the Sugar Bowl over Ole Miss, who was 8-0-2 entering the game by the score of 24-7. 5 years later, Auburn went 10-0 but was on probation, so they didn't play in a bowl game. A year later, LSU went 11-0 and beat Clemson 7-0 in the Sugar Bowl. But going into that season, Paul Dietzel was the head coach. His record was 11-17-2 entering his 4th year at LSU, and they went 11-0, and won the national championship. In this day and age, a guy entering his 4th year with a record like that would be already gone. But they let him, they hung on, and then he turned it around. All right, 1961, Alabama went 11-0 and beat Arkansas 10-3 in the Sugar Bowl. A year later, Ole Miss went 9-0 in the regular season, played Arkansas in the Sugar Bowl and beat them 17-13. 4 years later, Alabama went 11-0 and beat Nebraska 34-7 in the Sugar Bowl. And 13 years later, Alabama went undefeated 12-0 and beat Arkansas 24-9 in the Sugar Bowl. A year later, Georgia went 12-0 and beat Notre Dame 17-10. Then 12 years later, Alabama went 13-0, played Miami in the Sugar Bowl, and beat them by the score of 34-13. I was there that night. It was unbelievable. A year later, Auburn went 11-0, but did not go to a bowl game because they were on probation. 5 years later, Tennessee, post Peyton Manning, had a better team than the year before with Peyton Manning, going 13-0, beating Florida State 23-14 in the Fiesta Bowl. 2004, Auburn went 13-0 and won the Sugar Bowl over Virginia Tech, winning by the score of 16-13. 2009, Alabama went undefeated 14-0. Hey, Lewis, I'm glad you're on here, big man. Thank you for joining in. We appreciate you being on here, big man. Yeah, they played out. Well, it was called the National Championship Playoff Championship game. But anyway, they played. That was the BCS, but beat Texas 37-21 in that game in Pasadena. A year later, Auburn went 14-0, won the national championship, and no, they played. I think they played in the Fiesta Bowl out in. No, yeah, out there in. They didn't play in the Sugar Bowl. Out there in Arizona, winning 19-16 on the last play of the game. 9 years later, LSU went undefeated 15-0. And they played Clemson, and I'm not. Now, if they played them in New Orleans, they beat them. I said, all right, I got that one wrong. Now, 2020, Alabama went 13-0 in the COVID year, beat Ohio State 52-24 in the bowl game. And then 2 years ago, or a year ago, Georgia went 15-0, blasting TCU by the score of 65-7, and that should have never been happened. And that might be the reason why Florida State didn't play, and then Georgia played them and made them look like TCU in the Orange Bowl down there this past year. But Georgia did not go undefeated. You only had one undefeated national championship team, but. Let's see, you had Coach Bryant had 3. Let's see, Thomas was the coach at Alabama. Nealon, Thomas, Wally Butts, Bobby Dodd, Shug Jordan, Paul Dietzel, Coach Bryant, Johnny Vaught, Bryant, Vince Dooley, Gene Stallings, Terry Bowden, Philip Fulmer, 2004. That was Tommy Tuberville. 2009 was Saban. 2010 was Chizik. 2019 was Ed Arjan, Coach O. 2020 was Saban. And then 2022 was Kirby Smart. So that's who the coaches were in the league. But anyway, oh yeah, yes, early. Had to get them out early. But anyway, so what we're going to do in a minute or so, we're going to talk about, we're going to go through a period of time, undefeated national champions, and we'll start off with Yeah, that's right, a cornucopia. I like that word there. With all those people there. All right, let's see. 1936 was the first year you had the AP poll. So the poll era started in 1936. Nobody nobody was undefeated. No national champion was undefeated in 36 and 37. There was a loss for one. There was a tie for the other one. 1938, TCU went 11-0, and they won in the Sugar Bowl 15-7 over Carnegie Mellon. And I don't know. All I know is Davy O'Brien, who has an award named after him for best quarterback in the country, was the quarterback for TCU. The next year, same conference, was Texas A&M. Thank you, sir. I'll talk about all kind of stuff. You know, the cardinal sin in radio, big man, is dead air, so we got to figure something to talk about. But Texas A&M went 11-0 the next year. What was this? Homer Norton was the coach, and he's a native of Birmingham, Alabama. I think I need to find out some more about him. That might be another topic to talk about. He's in the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame, and then but anyway, he had a fullback by the name of John Jarin, Jarrin. Kimbrough. Obviously, he must have really knocked people back when he ran the ball. But anyway, they went to a bowl game. I think they played in the Sugar Bowl also. For some reason, they didn't go to the Cotton Bowl. But anyway, now we're going to do from 40 to 49, and there's some interesting stuff here to talk about. Minnesota went back-to-back. I think they're the first team to ever go back-to-back national champions. And they went 8-0 and 8-0 and did not, I don't know what the deal was. Teams that were from the East, Midwest, for some reason did not play in bowl games. Part of it, they claim academics, which I could say a word, but horse hockey is the word I'll use. On that. But anyway, Minnesota went back-to-back 8-0 both years. Bernie Bierman was the head coach, and he won about 4 national championships up there in the poll era, or somewhere around in that time. Well, anyway, but they didn't play in a bowl game. 42 and 43 had one-loss teams. Then Army went back-to-back 9-0 and 44 and 45. Earl Blake was the head coach there, and they did not play in bowl games. I don't know if Alabama would have matched up against them if they played them in 45, but it would have been Alabama had a great team. Might talk about them later on. We might break down the alias Cardinal Sin. I like that. Rest in peace, Cardinal Sin. But anyway, they did not play in a bowl game. Now, 46, you did have an undefeated team. It was Georgia, but Notre Dame and Army tied each other 0-0, and Notre Dame ended up being the national champion. 1947, Notre Dame again went back-to-back. Second team to do that. No, third team to do that. Army's the second team. And no, they didn't go. Yeah, 46, 47, but they had a tie in 46. Well, 47 went 9-0. Well, it was wild. Michigan went 10-0 and won the bowl game over Southern Cal. Beat them like 49-0. But yet they end up number 2. All right, the next year, Notre Dame had a tie Michigan went 9-0, but because of the repeat rule in the Big Ten, which I think was pretty stupid, they didn't go back. So, but they won the national championship because Notre Dame had a tie that year with Southern Cal. And then 1949 was Notre Dame again, 10-0, but they did not play in a bowl game. They did not. They had a 45-year bowl moratorium or whatever you want to call it. Didn't end up go to a bowl game for 45 years and finally decided to do that. But anyway, all right. I know Bernie Bierman was the head coach at Minnesota those 2 years. Oh, talking about Bernie Bierman, his first start as a head coach, he was from Minnesota, was at Mississippi State, and he went like 8. He had a 500 record there. Then he went to Tulane and did real well there, and then he did really well at Minnesota. You know, we're going to go ahead and give you a little more information that's pretty interesting. You had Bernie Bierman he coached there at first at Mississippi State, and then ended up winning a national championship, several up at Minnesota. Get that out of the way. Anyway, that, and then you had Murray Warmoth that ended up in Minnesota, coached at Mississippi State before going up there. He won one. I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good. You could call him BB because of his initials. I wouldn't say that if I was a player, I wouldn't have called him BB. They said he was a pretty stern, mean guy, from what I understand. Where are we going here? All right. Paul Brown, the pro football coach, they didn't go undefeated, won the national championship at Ohio State over Georgia. Both of them had the same record. Georgia did go to a bowl game and won over UCLA. All right. 43, they didn't go undefeated. 44 was Army. And Colonel Earl Blake, was the head coach there. Then 1947 was Frank Leahy in 47 and 40. He ended up winning 4 national championships, won it in 43, 46, 47, and 49. I think the guy that was at Michigan was named Fritz Chrysler. Was the head coach there at Michigan at the time. And then Frank Leahy was there again in 1949. Might have called him, if he was hardcore to speak. Yeah, from what I understand, he was pretty hardcore. But, are we freezing here? No. I hope we're not freezing. Yeah, there we go. I see we sort of froze for a second there. But anyway, so what we're going to do, we might be doing this, we might do the 1950s. And what we might do is we might break down. Now, one team, we won't, I tell you, all right, like I mentioned earlier, next year we're going to do 1930 for SEC history, 35, 46, 57, 68, and 74. So what we might not do, is when we do we might, on these undefeated teams that are in the SEC, 46 and 67. We'll mention who went undefeated those 2 years, but we won't go into big detail on them because we want to do that more into the season. I know we're sort of off season. I'm going to have to do a little more research on basketball because really football season's over with. But this is something I could think of the top 2 over off the top of my head, but do want y'all to know that we will have guests on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We'll have Randy Scott, former Alabama football player, played for the Green Bay Packers, on. We'll have Johnny Skinner, Olympic swimmer, who was originally from South Africa, on Thursday. And then Friday, we'll have Jeremiah Castile. Everybody knows who he is, on there. But anyway, we'll have them on as guests at 8:30. Well, 8:20 for Jeremiah, from 8:20 to 8:40 on Friday. But anyway, yeah, the ship ought to be coming around pretty soon. Unless he's, I hope it is. See, it's 8:50 right now. All right, where are we going with this? Oh, okay. As far as we know, we got the ship will be coming in about 2 or 3 minutes, and we'll be talking about this or that or whatever with our good friend Jimmy Rudder, and he always adds to the show, and is a lot of fun to talk to on here. But also failed to mention that Darrell Royal was the head coach at Mississippi State before going to Texas. No, but he would be somebody that would be good to talk to. Thank you. He's another guest that we can talk to. We're also going to try to work a way where we can get Archie Manning back on the air. I'll tell you another person we'll talk to is Floyd Franks, his main receiver at Ole Miss. And maybe also get his take on this NIL stuff. It's really, they're going to have to get some guardrails on this. It's just gone too crazy. And this transfer portal's going to have to shape up, too. Give them one pass, and then if the coach leaves, you can leave then. But otherwise, after one pass, you can't transfer. If you transfer again, you're going to have to sit out and lose a year. There we go. Hey, big man, how you doing?
I'm good, Big C. What's going on this morning?
Well, we've been talking, we talked about, UCLA this past weekend, 51 years ago, set the record of the most wins in a row at 61, and then finally it got broken at 88. I don't think that record of 88 wins in a row will ever be broken in college basketball because, nobody's gone undefeated since my senior year in high school when Indiana went 34-0.
I don't think that will ever get broken. It's virtually impossible to go undefeated in a season these days.
Kentucky
with NIL and everything getting more diverse and more what do you call it? Everybody it's more even. It's more even. Even the smaller schools are good in basketball these days.
Yeah. Well, I still think they're gonna have to figure out a way. The more I'm thinking that they ought to let them give them one free pass. The next time they transfer, they got to sit out a year. This thing about going to, level competition is what I think is what the word you was trying to look for. That's what John Dent said. Is that
Yeah. It's
the
more. It's more
level?
evenly. It's more level playing field for everybody in
Yeah,
basketball, especially in basketball.
yeah.
Not quite in football, like it is in basketball, because you don't have quite as many players.
No. Oh, yeah, that's right. You only got 13 on scholarship, so that sort of spreads it pretty even.
So, what about my question to you today is: have you been asked to donate to these collectives, and will you donate for
No.
these collectives, or do you think do you think this money's going to dry up
I,
from even the big money people?
well, I'll tell you what. Several people said that an economist, a friend, the first time I heard this, and a friend of mine that lives in Birmingham called me up, and he said an economist said this is not going to be self-sustain. It ain't going to be able to sustain itself, and even Coach Bill Battle told me the same thing. So
Yeah.
I think, and sooner or later, and I don't understand these people giving these kids, some of these kids, all this big money they give them. It's
Well,
crazy.
I think it's crazy, and if they ask me for money, I'm not going to give them no more money.
No,
I
but
already donate to Tide Pride. I already buy tickets.
that's
I
good
already
enough.
buy their food. I buy their food in their stadium. I pay for their parking, and that's all I'm paying for. I'm not paying nothing. I'm not buying nothing else.
Well, they're gonna have to. What they're gonna have to do is on that is hit the people with deep, deep pockets on that.
Well, they're trying to hit the nickel and dime people
They're
too.
not. They're not gonna have. I tell you what.
Yeah, they're convincing all these people that if they send them $10 a month, that's gonna really make a difference.
Well, if you get a lot of. Well, if you think about it, if you get. Well, if you get 100,000 people doing that, that's what.
That'll pay for one of their players.
Yeah.
That'll
Yeah.
pay for one NIL deal for one player. I mean
It's
that's just crazy to nickel and dime people that I'd
yeah.
rather donate my money to St. Jude or Wounded Warriors or something like that. I
Oh
wouldn't
yeah.
donate it to that crap.
Well, that
I
you know
promise
what.
you.
Well, you know what. With what you're just saying there, that's going to dry up because I like what John Dent just said. You can only go to the well so much. You're
That's
right.
exactly right. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Even these big money donors, they're getting tired of everybody coming in putting their hand up for money every time they get something going on.
Yeah.
And these spoiled recruits coming in here wanting $1 million to play
Yeah.
football.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. And now they want to build a new arena too. They're not going to pay for NIL and arena.
No.
You got to make your choice.
Well, I don't. I don't. You know. My opinion. It's not going to be popular. What I'm going to say. Why do they need to build a new arena for? In my
Well,
opinion. I mean,
I
I'm
I don't think they should either. I like Coleman.
Coleman.
They could do some. They could make some seating changes and update it and make it good. Be fine for me.
Yeah, they can. Well, if you think about it, plus she had a lot of money. But what did they do with Kyle Field out at A&M? They didn't build a brand new stadium, but somebody chunked out a lot of money to get it renovated. That's what you could do with Coleman. I mean, there's just so much, and I mean,
Well,
and
you can do a whole lot more with a stadium than you can a building like that. But still,
well, I mean,
when the lights went out the other night, they started crying and whining about the need a new buildings.
yeah,
Just the fans and the reporters and the media.
of course. Oh,
But
a lot of stuff that goes on in this country these days is. Lewis said rudder time, big man. Lewis with you. Uh, uh, trying to think. Prima donna athletes have about worn out their welcome. I agree with you on that.
Amen. Amen. They're not getting no more money out of me. I mean,
Well,
already I give. That's all I'm gonna
that's all
give.
right. That's fine. I mean, it's your prerogative to give what you want to give to. No, that's interesting. They're gonna have to, they're gonna have to limit that to me. I know. I wish we could have had Dean Myrick on yesterday. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get back on that because he's an administrator and he understands all this better than I do. Somebody made a comment of maybe having a salary cap, like $25 million. Well, if you divide that by 85 players, that's a lot of money per player. But they're gonna be. But I mean, when you break it down individually, month by month or whatever, they'll be getting a good stipend, but nothing like that. And I mean, nobody needs a kid. that young don't need to be getting $2 or $3 million, in my
I
opinion.
mean, what? I mean, what in the world does he need it for? His school is paid for. Uh,
Room and
his room
board.
and board is taken care of. I mean, what does he need it for? To buy pizza on the weekend? I mean, that's
Yeah.
what I've heard. We couldn't even buy a pizza on the
Well,
weekend.
they might not could have, but they can now for sure.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Uh huh.
come on. I mean, could they not have a job, Big C?
Well,
I heard that Bryce Young was delivering pizzas for real when his dad made him get a job to get him to make his spending money.
I don't know. That might be. Hey, I hate to do
His
this.
first year, I heard.
I hate to do this, but we're almost out of time. But thank you for calling. We can talk more about this tomorrow.
All right, Big C, you take care. Have a great day and roll tide.
Same to you. Bye bye. Okay, let's make sure he cuts off. All right, he's off. We're going to end the live video. Uh, that's right. They're professionals now. You're right, big man. But we're going to go ahead and cut this off, and we'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a great day. Bye.